but I can't eat. Not allowed and don't sleep in my own bed anymore. A uniform to show you who I am. Boring, but it's so easy. Same faces all of the time. And my girl on the brain, I'm in dire need of change, but I'll miss it all the same. Give me the news in an honest page, a seasoned book and a set of wheels, a flash of your eye from across the party, a quiet life, an open door. Strange place, familiar faces, old furniture, brings it all back. The new makes me curious, and I might miss the routine, but I'd replace it with that scene in front of me any day. I'm amazed at the ways it's gonna change.
So with street cones, we say that it's not what you've done, it's what you can become. We use arts to help facilitate that road to change.
Like a dream from a wishing well, my trawler eyes take everything in while I'm walking down the snake path, like a hypnotist under a spell. A break from the sadness, disconnection from madness. I leap from the noise, relief in the shadows, crying out for more, like a hungry child full of life. A mishand of smiles, blown away like the flame of a candle out again, deafened by silence, fragile and lonesome again. A break from the sadness, disconnection from madness. I leap from the noise, relief in the shadows. There's a hush to destroy. I leap from the noise.
Hi, hello. Welcome everyone and thanks for joining us. My name is Libby McArthur and I'm one of the Street Cones facilitators who have the privilege of delivering our Road to Change workshops. We spent 12 weeks with a group of participants who were referred to us by South Lanarkshire Justice Women's Service. So for those of you who don't know us, Street Cones are a charity who use the arts and creativity to help people achieve more positive outcomes. The idea behind the Road to Change is that we give participants an opportunity to do some fairly deep self-awareness and exploration type work. The space is safe and non-triggering, and we use fiction as a safety net, tapping into their creativity. Often they consider themselves not to be creative, but we know from experience that's simply not the case, as each and every one of us are indeed a creative. This group, like all our groups, started week 1 with a blank page. Supported by our facilitators, they devised fictional characters and story worlds while exploring various themes that grew organically from the sessions. Our workshops operate under a range of safeguarding guidelines, one of which we refer to as the privileged environment. This basically means the sessions are anonymous and participants use first names only, and we ask that no personal details need or ought to be shared. In a moment, we'll show you a short showcase film from read-throughs of their script delivered by this group. And afterwards, we'll have a Q&A with our panel, who I will introduce you to. So you can start submitting any comments or questions you have in the comments section on YouTube or Facebook, or by email direct to my colleague, Mark McNichol, who is on mark@streetcones.org. So please fire away anything you want to ask about the work at all, Street Cones, or indeed this particular project. The short film and Q&A will take around an hour, and we should be done by 5 o'clock. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce South Lanarkshire's Women's Service Road to Change group. And now we're going to watch the film.
We spent 12 weeks with the participants who were referred to us by South Lanarkshire Council. So for those who don't know Street Cones, we're a charity who use the arts and creative to help achieve positive outcomes for people who we work with. The idea behind Road to Change is that we give participants the opportunity to do some fairly deep self-awareness and exploration. The space is safe and non-triggering, and we use fiction as a safety net, tapping into participants' creativity. Often they consider themselves not to be creative, but we know from experience that simply is not the case. We are all creatives. This group, like all the others, started with a blank sheet of paper, supported by myself and Lorraine. We started to build fictional characters and story worlds while exploring various themes that grew organically and from the sessions. This group's themes include relationships, addiction, acceptance, self-awareness, and positive change and recovery.
I never. God, this is like the time 10 police come charging through the door and you were still sleeping. I need answers. I love you, Peter. You'll never know how much. Don't know the last time I told you that, but today, I love you, you big idiot.
Our workshops operate under a range of safeguarding guidelines, one of which we refer to as the privileged environment. This basically means that participants use their first names only, that we in the workshop is fictional. So while we're creating characters and building storylines of worlds, we won't reveal what's the difference between reality and fiction.
I can't believe I'm talking to myself here. Maybe that's what I've needed. Like good talking to myself.
She looks back down at herself lying on the hospital bed.
Right, you. Just like what you've achieved and on your own too. You can do anything you put your mind to. You walked out on him. The hardest thing you've ever done. You done it. You did it. Aye, he's still harassing you. But that's his problem, not yours. He's the one with the problem. Stop taking on his shite.
I agree, it's a really powerful, thought-provoking script that looks at a variety of issues that impact on all women. Really strong themes of women's female journey through dealing with addiction, recovery, and most powerfully, I felt the relationships that have been there throughout. Personally, we all have relationships, good and bad. Some of us are parents, we may still have our parents, we've been children, siblings, partners, friendships. We've all experienced the grief that comes from losing people, and we've all been in the position of being stuck in negative and destructive relationships, and how it can be really hard to move on from that. But, you know, and at the time, I suppose most of us have had to make that call, whether we let go of people or whether we keep going with them. So that came across really strongly as well.
Behind her is her late husband, Jamie. She falls to her knees with her head in her hands.
Oh no, Jamie. God, I can't believe this. Why is this happening to me? Please come home. Come home, both of you, please. I need you, Jamie. The Waynes, they need their daddy. Oh, I can't do this. Of course you can't come home.
She wobbles to her feet, head moving left to right to left frantically, talking to them both.
I can stay here, that's it. I'll stay with yous. I can be with you both. No one needs me. I'm just a waste of bloody space anyway.
Like, it was nice playing the part of Sammy, because I don't know, I can relate to the character, completely relate to the character. It's just like the other part of me, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I almost turned, like, I don't know, we've been doing this for like quite some weeks, and I just love my character. I think she's brilliant.
Aye, Mum, it's me, your waste for space daughter, the skinny dying wake. That's how you refer to me, you and that bastard of a so-called stepdad. You put well before me. It's no wonder I turned to drink. You wouldn't care that if I was here or at the other side of the world. You'd probably be happy if I was dead. Well, I've almost been there a few times. I'm sure you were happy to know that. Sorry to disappoint you, I'm still here.
She realises what she has just said.
I think...
Her mum still doesn't respond. She looks round the room and sees framed photos of children smiling, school uniforms all ironed and hanging up, ready for wearing. Lunchboxes packed, kids' clothes piled high next to the wall, used iron board, drawings pinned to the wall with "I love you, Gran" at the bottom, toys and teddies abandoned on the floor. Alex puts her hands over her face and slowly sits on the chair next to her mother's. She draws her hands down her cheeks and rests them on her knees.
Mum, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I left you with all this. I'll try to stop drinking. No, I will stop drinking. I was so wrapped up in my own problems, I never stopped to see what you were doing for me. Thank you for taking care of my babies. You've done a great job, really. I don't know what they would have done without you. No, I don't know what I would have done without you. I know we've never really seen eye to eye, but you know, when the chips are down, I suppose you've always been there for me one way or another. But I promise this time I will be there for you. I'll get sorted, I'll never drink again, so help me God. I will take my children back and be a proper mum.
Alex?
Just like the same as other lasses, I know, just the fact that we could all come on Tuesdays and Thursdays and speak. And I think a big thing was we could speak about anything because of the fact that it was took as fiction. So he let in, just for the first wee bit as well, like speaking, so nothing was getting took in general, like, because sometimes like when you go places or you get into groups or whatever, like you want to say something but you don't want to because in the fear of everybody thinking, oh my God, is that what you done, or is that what you want to feel, like something like that, like, but you can come out with it because it is fictional, and then that way you just meet everybody else in here, all their stories, that way, like fictional or true, whatever, but and you can relate to it that way, and then as it goes on, you can gel that way in the fact, and you can say anything, and I think we have actually said maybe too much at times, but it's been great, in fact, that we can do that, just to channel it a different way, and speak ones, I think it's really is, it's a big thing for me anyhow, the fact that we get a lot of my route that way, like any problems around like that, I can feel just street cones has helped me get a lot of things up to the surface anyhow.
What in the universal credit is that?
A fucking guinea pig! You've got to be kidding.
If you like guinea pigs and rodents
and birds sharing on the wains,
where are your flip-flops in the garden?
Well, it's better than Spain.
Better your flip-flops?
Aye, never mind, Taylor. I take it this road and come to Butland's ways then.
Get the tunes on.
Here we go, here we go, here we go.
everybody said, like being able to go in and like just talk about and no be like them no judging you for like what you've done, like like me was going, if I dealt with things by taking drugs, that's how I dealt with my problems, and until I got the help until after like last year, and then this came along, and like being able to like tell people, like everybody in the group, talk about it, and like just knowing that they're not judging you, and like they're kind of similar. No, it doesn't need to be like that. Like everybody can relate in some sort of way to you, and like they're not just looking at you as if to say you're a mad.
Aye. Which brought me like out of my shell, and it's actually changed me for the better, because back before I started this, I was in turmoil. I had like a lot of emotional issues, but now like I feel like as my character says, somewhat lighter. I do, like, and I've just learned to accept things for what they are now, and I'm not gonna like waste any more of my life or my time crying over something I can't change, you know, but I can change myself, and I've got control over my own life. I've learned to accept that you cannot control what's outside of your bubble, like, you know, it's only certain things, and that's just changed me for the better. And like even my family have like all said like how far I've come, like from last year. Like I would cry every single day, I would just be a complete mess, and I started this, and I feel a lot better. I feel great, and it's changed me for the better. And the word road to change is completely fit in with with Street Crones. It really is.
Like this, I would do it all the time. I was that person that like people would offer me to get into group things like for years, and I've always like, no, I don't like being in front of people, I don't like doing things in front of people. But I'm really glad that I've done this, and like I would do it all over again.
Just like moving on, like it's like I don't know, like, since doing this, it's completely like changed me as a person, and I don't feel trapped in, like, you know, it's just changed me. Like I'm more like I've got people and stuff now, and I don't know, the character would just move on and be more confident in herself, and just like live life to the fullest.
Ladies, I just want to say thank you to you for taking part, your honesty, courageousness and sharing experiences, and being able to incorporate that into the script, making yourselves a little bit vulnerable in order to do that, and coming online for the performance. It has been amazing, and again, I've kind of, as I say, that takes a bit of courageousness to come and do that and perform live. I think what you've achieved is a great testament to the power of the relationships, friendships, and being able to work collaboratively together. So thanks again.
Tenga Boys, We Like to Party is now blaring. Molly grabs a water glass and places it with her running.
Brilliant. Well done, guys. Well done, guys. So before we start on the Q&A, I'd like to invite Anthea Ewing to say a few words on behalf of South Lanarkshire Justice Services. So over to you, Anthea.
Thanks very much, Libby. So can I just start by saying a huge thanks to all the people involved in attending the workshops and writing a fantastic script and being involved in 2 brilliant performances that we had. So thank you to Lynn, Charlotte, Deborah, Pamela, Mary and Tracy, and of course the Street Cone facilitators who were running the workshop, Anne and Lorraine, and all the staff behind the scenes. You can see, and it's come across from the film, that everyone's worked really hard together. and created a really powerful and, as I think I've said already, a thought-provoking script that looks at a variety of issues that impact on women and women's experience involved in justice, this justice system. The Women's Hubs are run as part of the Women's Service here in South Lanarkshire, and they were started in 2014. We also carry, as well as doing the hubs, we also carry a lot of work individually with women that we work with. But a big part of the hub structure has been about putting the opportunity there for women to meet, to allow relationships to develop, having a safe place to meet and to link in with other supports. And a really important part of that is for the women that attend to, and the people involved in running the hubs, to share and learn from each other's experience. During lockdown, and that has been a big challenge, is how to support everyone to keep in contact with each other. And a lot of work's been done to achieve that. I think today's film's a great example of that, what can be achieved, and who would have thought a few years ago that we'd be so good at using remote technology. We've worked really hard within the Women's Service to promote that. I'm sure Margaret will be able to speak a little bit more about that. Margaret is on the one of the panel members on the session that will follow this. But we've done a lot of work, including health and wellbeing sessions, regular quiz and catch-up, yoga, Spanish lessons. We've been able to link in with South Lanarkshire College, and 10 women completed an online course. And we also had another 4 women involved in the health improvements in the community programme, being one of the first groups nationally to complete the course online, and they took part in a conference to kind of feedback about that. So loads of things have been going on. Going forwards, we want to continue now. We're coming out of lockdown, fingers crossed. And for us, it's about getting more face-to-face hubs back up and running, to expand and develop the service, to work together with more organisations, and most importantly, get more women involved in whatever stage of their personal journey, working with us, involved with us. So we're in a really great and exciting place at the moment as a service. It's a nice place to be. So I'm going to hand back over to you, Libby. I just, again, want to say a massive thank you to everybody, all the hard work, the bravery about out there, be a little bit vulnerable, be involved in the script, be involved in the performing, because I had a little bit of experience in doing that. And again, it's just taking that chance and being a bit brave about things. And so thank you to everybody involved. I'll hand back over to you now, Libby.
Fantastic. Thank you, Anthea. Absolutely agree with everything you said there. So I'm now going to introduce us to the rest of our panel. And folks, could you maybe say a wee bit about who you are and what you do, just to get us all up to speed? So Margaret McMullen is a resource worker with South Lanarkshire Women's Service. Margaret Halbert is manager at Liberate. And last but not least, Lynn and Charlotte, who are both our participants from the workshops. So maybe we'll go to Margaret McMullen first. You could just tell us a wee bit about who you are, Margaret.
Yeah, I'm the Women's Resource Worker for South Lanarkshire, and I've been in the post for about 20 years, so I've seen loads and loads of change. When I first came in, we didn't have any service at all, which in my background was Glasgow, and I'd worked abroad, and it was so strange. But looking back now and seeing what's available now, it's like night and day. And I've actually been lucky to be part of the journey, because I've been there at the beginning, and I would actually say I'm still here more or less at the end, when we've got lots of good services in place, and I can actually see the results of a lot of input that's came for criminal justice. And I mean, I don't mean just myself, but all the workers in the background that you never seem to see, I get a lot of attention because I'm out in front, I'm out in the community, but I don't think people realise how much support I get behind for all the social workers in the background and that. But I'm really pleased with this as well, because I never ever thought that if you'd have asked me this 10 years ago that we would actually go on and do something like this. No, I would have said no. Well done again. So, and we hope we'll continue.
Right, we'll be coming back to you, Margaret, for more chat. So, Margaret Halbert, can you give us a wee indication of what you're all about? Yeah, just your own time, darling. Oh, you need to unmute, Margaret, of course.
Of course, I'm showing my ignorance there, but however, thanks everybody. So my name is Margaret Halbert, and I'm the lead officer of an organisation called Liberate Lanarkshire. And initially it was aimed at people who had experienced problems with alcohol and drug use. But that quickly changed about 15 years ago, and it encompasses a whole range of problems and issues that people experience in their communities. The one that perhaps is most relevant to this work today is that we now host the 4 beacons, which are 4 recovery hubs throughout South Lanarkshire. And I was just saying earlier, the lived experience that we have within the beacons that is what actually drives that particular initiative. And the amount of, we've got a small kind of team at the back that facilitates anything the lived experience folk want to be doing or what they want to progress. But the amount of learning that the team's had from the guys with lived experience is far more than they've learned from us. So it's been an absolutely fantastic journey in the last couple of years, despite COVID. And just like Margaret McMullen, I've been around in South Lanarkshire for 20 odd years. I think we actually started at a similar time, and we've kept in touch all this time. And I totally agree with her in terms of the progression and the changes in services that we have now compared to what it was 20 years ago, and the amount of improvement that has been, and that's allowed and nurtured the bravery and the courageousness that Anthea spoke about with the women being able to do these performances. And I just really look forward to an awful lot more like this. So thank you, Libby.
Fantastic. Warms the cockles of my heart. And we've got the fabulous Lynn and Charlotte who have been our participants with Street Cones work. So I've already got a ton of questions, guys. So let's just fire in straight away. The first question, Lynn, I've got some specifically for you and Charlotte. But the first question is to the panel. So that's to all of you guys. So feel free to chip in, and I'll keep you right if you're taking up too much space. So the first question that's to the panel is, do you think it would be a good idea to have specific female courts in Scotland? And do you think it will ever happen? So courts that are literally just specifically for women, and do you think it'll ever happen? Anyone?
No, I'll start. No, I don't think it will happen. However, I don't see how having a female court is going to make any difference to what they have at the moment. You know, I think that there is more support out there now after court proceedings. Obviously, you've got the social worker, you know, and they tend to like do a lot of things. Like they referred me to South Lanarkshire street cones. But what difference is having a female court? You know, what benefit is it? I mean, yeah, you could say have a female judge, but you're either guilty or you're not. So, you know, some people
Anthea's
are found.
going to come in there, Charlotte. I think Anthea's got something to say about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charlotte, but all I was going to say is there is other areas of service where there is specific courts for particular areas, and I just wonder whether it might be good just from the point of view it might concentrate resources a little bit, you know, if you know and concentrate their attention, because we do know that females involved in the justice system have got completely different unique kind of needs as compared to men, and the males are the majority. So it just might be a good thing from a point of view of concentrating resources, you know, and money and services at that point onwards. So I would kind of, you know, maybe argue that it might be a good thing, but I'm not sure whether it ever will.
Well, you know, just to kind of like maybe to add a wee bit of spice to that particular discussion, we also have via email a comment that says Scotland has one of the highest rates of imprisonment for women in Northern Europe.
Yeah.
It's over 400. And why do the panel think that Scotland is at the top of this particular league?
I think I've got an answer to that, actually. Based on the fact that I'm Welsh and I'm from Wales, the criminal justice system is slightly different to Scotland. And I think they need to make changes because, you know, they say if you've got like 2 witnesses saying you've done something, I don't believe you stand a chance. You don't get to get your story across. Similar thing happened to me. However, I believe that the system is a little bit messed up simply because they go on
just witness testimonies rather than, listen to the whole lot of the evidence. I think they base it guilty or not guilty on their witnesses rather than actual evidence.
Yeah.
That's my opinion anyway.
That's interesting, Charlotte. Yeah, so it's actually, it's on route. Anyone else want to chip in with this all-female courts? Has this got legs, Margaret? Yeah, Margaret.
I think it's something that's perhaps worth even a period of trial, a pilot period, specifically because, the reasons that women do end up in the justice system is so complex. It's not something that can be easily understood for a lot of people. And I just feel that perhaps more time and resources put towards that particular system for women could be helpful, especially in terms of trauma-informed and, the court system being trauma-informed, but also taking into consideration, abuse and all of this kind of thing that perhaps during normal court time, they don't spend enough time actually looking at the complexity of the issues surrounding the women. So I would give it a trial, but I don't know if it'll ever happen.
Sure. Okay, guys. So, Lynn, can I ask you to unmute? Because I would like to ask you a question that came in through email. And it says, what were the main themes explored during the workshops that you did with street cones? And how did you arrive at these themes? How did you go about the process of selection?
I think we all just spoke. We all just spoke about like different things, how like addiction, like recovery, like domestic violence, and it was just everybody like speaking like fictionally to each other and amongst. And one of the facilitators had took it away and just took bits out of each one. And so basically, I think each has all got parts of our stories across and all put into the one wee film.
Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, Charlotte, just that general kind of chat then just kind of grew up naturally, organically.
Yeah, so obviously with Street Codes it is all about fictional stories, fictional characters. But yeah, so we did a lot surrounding domestic violence, drug addiction, alcohol addiction. There was a variety of different things, and we all just obviously, I gave my part on what I would have liked to have said, which was obviously incorporated into the video. Lynn did something else, and the other participants did something else, almost like they could relate, like I could relate to my character. Lynn certainly related to hers. So although it was fictional, we could all relate to our characters.
Okay. Relatable. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So Margaret Halbert, a question has come in directed to yourself via email and asks, in your experience over the years, what do you think are the main barriers that women face, especially in the recovery journey? And what do you think would help this?
Oh gosh, there's so many, Libby, to be perfectly honest, that I think it would take up the rest of the film today. One of the biggest barriers for women entering into recovery is undoubtedly stigma, and the stigma that is associated with the role of being a woman and what the expectations are around that. And sometimes women are treated far more harshly than their male counterparts because of that. There's also the element of normally having children. And that stigma just rolls through with their perceptions of motherhood and all of that. So stigma is probably one of the greatest barriers for women. Another barrier, I think, is that, as we know, that women focus much more on relationships. Relationships mean, in general, I'm not saying for everybody, but relationships in general for women are far more important and a far bigger part of the recovery journey. So whether that's relationship with parents, children, extended family, friends, and that socialisation process when they're not in recovery or they're trying to reach recovery, quite often the isolation is the barrier, because some of it is self-imposed isolation because they carry, sometimes it's, misplaced feelings of guilt or shame or something like that. And that isolation can be a tremendous barrier for women. So for me, the two main ones at the moment, I would say, would be stigma and isolation.
Yeah, absolutely. A shameless plug here for Street Cones. Myself and a couple other facilitators are running a self-referral recovery workshop online, and it's every Tuesday morning from 10 to 12. So anyone watching and is interested, then check out our social media or email Sarah, SARA, at streetcones.org. So that's an online self-referral recovery group, which is going great guns, and you'd be welcome. So we have a question now from Colette Stevenson, MSP, which came in via YouTube. And she says, I am delighted to be able to attend today and see the work you are doing. I'd be keen to meet up with all of you and learn more about the group. Anthea can make contact direct via my MSP office. So scribble that down, Anthea, and do that very thing, why don't you? So we have a Deborah O'Donnell via YouTube. She basically just says to all you guys, amazing work. You have all done so well and you should all be so proud. So it's nice to hear it. Thank you for that. So we have Jennifer McGinley via email. Wow, she says, fantastic. Well done to all of you for having the guts to put yourself out there. How did you decide on creating the characters and who would play them during the performance? So that's to you, Lynn and Charlotte. Yeah, how does that, you know, in terms of actually kind of creating a character, how do you go about that? And do you self-cast? Do you decide yourself, I want to play harsh? Can, you know,
No,
Charlotte?
I think it was just the fact that when, as I say, we were speaking, everybody was speaking about fictional stories, and then it's like Anne was helping that who like draw up like putting the words and things in. So it was just we all had a read through, and then we were going to like read out each other's parts, but they liked the fact that we were reading our own things.
Yeah,
it was better. It felt better for us.
yeah. The thing is, like when we decided to, you know, we decided what each of us wanted to, you know, create our characters, and it was only right that we played our own parts because we can relate to the story. So obviously, if you're doing your own character and you can relate to the story or the storyline, then you're going to perform better. So that's
I think it plays quite quick, didn't it? Like when we were all speaking, I felt so like the first like few sessions we were speaking, and before I knew it, like there was a script here, and I was like, all right, so that's the kind of direction we're going in.
It was brilliant.
It just really fell in so quick.
But during this, it did actually help me through a lot. I was in a really dark place, but when I started the Street Cones, it was almost like I could you know, vent in an acting kind of way. It was really, really good. So I really enjoyed it. It did benefit me and my mental health, if I'm honest.
Brilliant. And it is that thing of Street Cones is always saying, you know, there's this kind of like busting the myth that there's creative people and uncreative people. Everyone's a creative, you know, and once you get started, you realize it. So this is to the whole panel, this question. What would you like to see out there for women who are struggling to manage their lives? What is actually needed for folk? So that's a big question. But you know, it's like what are we getting wrong? You know, what
I could hear that. See, to start off with, see the fact of having to wait until you break the law before you can get some help. There's going to be something allowed. That I think now they're allowing people in that you don't have to have like be on probation or whatever. But it's really sad that we've got to break the law and go to court, get a probation order before we can access any things like this. And I think that's a big thing that should be put in place beforehand. That there is places like the hub and that we can go to like before doing it and breaking the law, and that may be stopped.
Can I add a wee bit here, if you don't mind? We have actually incorporated that now, as I'm saying, like I've been here a long time, and before you needed to be on an order, and that is not the case anymore. As soon as any woman is contacted by the police in any way, one of us can contacted within the South Lanarkshire criminal justice system. Now, see, in the past, I think about 21 days, we've just actually new workers in between us. We have contacted over 30 women that didn't need to get to the court case. Now, I would say out of 10 of them have actually told us if we hadn't have been there before they got to the court, they would have ended up in court. But we went in fast, and we went in rapid, and we put services into place. So it's got to that place. So we actually, like Lynn, when you first started, it wasn't like that, wasn't it? Not. So Lynn she was about for about a year or two before she even came to any of our hubs, and then after that everything changed, didn't it? But we have responded very, very rapid now, and you can see the big difference.
Yeah, can I just add something? Just, I do commend, the criminal justice system as far as after the court proceedings have gone ahead, and I've got to say that they don't have the resources in England and Wales like they do in Scotland for afterwards. Like I was placed on a 12-month social work order, and to start with, I was just like, because I was like, no, this isn't right, and I got used to my social workers, and then Margaret became a part of my life as my social worker, and I was referred to all different places to yourselves, and there was Venture Trust, and up here I could not quite believe that I was on an order, because they offered, for me, I personally have a great experience. I'm not on an order anymore, but I still continue to get the support from Margaret, and I think that they do very well up here. I can't see any fault in what they're doing already.
That's wonderful to hear. I'm sure Margaret's and Anthea love the sound of that. So great. So Anthea, this is directly to you. It came in through via email, and it says, this is inspiring and amazing work that you're all doing. Do South Lanarkshire have any more of this street cones type of work lined up for the future?
Yeah, we'd definitely like to see this type of work, because the feedback is that the people involved got so much out of it. So we will be looking at doing that. Ideally, it'd be good if we could develop some things, whoever it is, along with more face-to-face, and maybe putting on a performance and developing the script that way. But yeah, because it's just been such a positive experience for the women that have been involved. And yeah, so the answer is yes.
Good news, I'm sure, for everyone involved. And we have via email, and this is for the panel, so feel free to chip in, guys. Do the panel know if all Scottish local authorities have a women's service, or is South Lanarkshire the only one? And the person writing in says, I live in South Lanarkshire and I didn't know we had a women's service, so I'm really glad to see that. So that's interesting, isn't it? So is South Lanarkshire the only one that has the women's services? Do we know?
No, I know other authorities do run women's services. I think the issues maybe are, it's up to the local authority how they choose to develop that, and different places develop them in different ways, Libby. So it is something nationally, I think most local authorities would be given a priority to making sure that there is services to suit the unique needs that can be there, with women involved in justice. But I suppose how they choose to do that kind of looks differently. It's not a kind of one national way of doing it, if that makes sense, Yeah. So, but I do know other authorities do run services as well.
Great. I mean, obviously, as soon as women are in any way involved in the justice system, the picture in your head is children being left. It's different, isn't it? The ramifications are huge, and the children are all our responsibilities, all of them. So, well, guys, that's apart from that shameless plug for Street Cones self-referral, I'd like to just invite all of our panel, Charlotte and Lynn, of course, to just sum up for us, what we've done today in terms of letting folk know the work that's going on. And so maybe we could come to Charlotte and Lynn first, and then Margaret to the two Margarets and finish with yourself, Anthea. Just basically, is there anything you feel that you'd like to say for the folk tuning in who maybe didn't even know that this kind of work was happening, and that who street cones are, and how working with existing agencies like yourself in South Lanarkshire, Anthea, can just really, I mean, I've seen nothing short of miracles happen. I mean, really,
Yeah.
and apart from anything else, it's just such a laugh to be such a relief, you know. So Charlotte Lynn, we'll come to you first. So Charlotte, do you want to just sum up for us?
Yeah. So basically, when I was referred to street cones, I thought, oh, I don't know what this is going to do to help. But as the weeks went on and we got to act out our characters, it sort of healed me, and also gave me more confidence in myself. And through street cones now, I've decided to move forward in my life, and I'm hoping that, you know, I can give back to the criminal justice system by, you know, volunteering to be like a social worker assistant, and then eventually work my way up to a criminal justice social worker. So I would never have thought of that if I hadn't had this experience first. But street cones is good for, you know, helping you move on with your life. Like, you know, it's a road to change at the end of the day, and it's the right words for street cones, because, you know, you do change, and it did change me. So that's all I've got to really say.
It's so brilliant to hear you say that, and one of the things I'm very proud of being a street cones facilitator is how often that comes up, the desire to give back, the desire to be part of the solution, the desire to get involved in some sort of healing and recovery that you've experienced yourself, and to pay it forward. It's so common, and it's so heartwarming. Lynn,
I feel the same way. Like obviously I've raised South Lanarkshire hub for been there for like 3.5 years, but so I've done a few things with at the hub. And in the beginning, I did street cones. I wasn't too keen. I was just, because I'd done the HIT course previous to that. That way, with a certain group. That way, and I was kind of like away from my group, so I wasn't keen like the first couple of sessions. I thought I wasn't going to do it, but I'm so glad I stuck with it, because after that, I mean, I loved it. Every Tuesday morning and Thursday morning, I couldn't wait to get up out my bed to come down and link up. It was great, and anybody get the chance at that, I snatch it, because it really is. It's another way to vent out whatever it is when you're trying to get them away from. It really is.
It's wonderful. I think there's also that sense of, you know, there are no new issues for us human beings. There are no new problems. We're all dealing with the same stuff, really, you know, and all you have to do is start sharing and being vulnerable with each other to understand that, you know, we're all Jock Thompson's bairns, you know. Margaret, can I come to the first Margaret Halbert? Can you want to just sum up for us the experience of this whole kind of programme for yourself?
First of all, I'd just like to thank Anthea and Margaret Mullen for sticking me in for this. I really wasn't sure what I was coming along for, but I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And also to thank Lynn, Charlotte and the rest of the participants for sharing that with me. I feel quite privileged in many respects. And what I will say in terms of this medium, you know, and using street cones to use creative arts to get that message across, to get those stories across, it does affect and impact other people with lived experience. So you will have people watching this who will benefit greatly, watching those girls and saying, oh, I'm sure if they can do it, I can do it too. So there's a huge part and a huge role there for this medium in that respect. But equally, where it also impacts is, for example, and this is my shameless plug, so forgive me, we have a new women's service that starts up on the 1st of May called Saoirse, and that's for freedom. And that's for women who have been affected by gender-based violence or alcohol and substance use issues. And there is one-to-one support, there is group work, there's personal growth, there's development. And me watching this today, what I've already taken away from it is that this medium, street cones, this facilitation, this, you know, thing that has happened would be ideal for that project, for those women to learn and to grow about them, you know, and to learn about themselves through that medium. So it impacts people on many different levels. I think that's what I'm trying to say, that it's not just the person watching it, it'll have ripple effects to other places. And for that, I'm very thankful for being invited along. So thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you, Margaret. That was beautiful. And now we'll come to yourself, Margaret McMullen.
I don't know what to say, just what everybody else says here. But I would like to say that I'm really surprised how well that it's went down with street cones, because when the lockdown first came, we were very active one-to-one in a group, and to adapt to going onto online was quite strange for us, but I'm really, really surprised. But we did all adapt it really well. So we were actually doing the Zoom for a good year before we actually went on to street cones as well. So, but it's really good to see an end product, because we weren't actually videoing anything. We were just using that as a place to, I wish now I would have videoed it, do you not know all the work that we had done online? Yeah. But I would like to continue, but I think we're going to have to continue with both now, because the good thing about the online is we were reaching people that wouldn't come out to us before, that were scared to leave the house. They didn't have bus fare to get to meet us. They had low self-esteem and confidence, and now we were reaching out to them, which is good. But the only thing was, a lot of people didn't have access to the video camera because it costed. That was another thing we had to go through as well. But hopefully we get a lot more of everything. We've got the access to both the likes of street cones and video and face-to-face, which I think will reach a far bigger audience.
Brilliant. And just before we come to Anthea to round us all up, and Charlotte, Lynn, I'm sure you'd agree with me when I say we need to give a big shout out to Anne and Lorraine, your two fabulous.
Absolutely, she was amazing. They were both amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Well, they were great. I loved it every Tuesday morning. That they were always so happy. It didn't matter like if we were like going, I've just woke up, like not ready yet. Well, it's okay, and it was great. They were fantastic.
I want to give a shout out to Margaret McMullen as well, because honestly, if it wasn't for her, I don't think my life would be as good as it is now. She's very supportive. She put me forward for this, and honestly, you couldn't ask for a better social worker. She's amazing. Like, I've never come across anyone quite like her. Sorry, Margaret, I have to say it. You're amazing. So you deserve a shout out as well.
Brilliant. I hope you're taking that in, Margaret. I hope you're taking that in. Take it in. Wonderful. Thank you, Charlotte. It's great. I mean, it's just lovely. I mean, okay, we might all sound like a big mutual appreciation society, but hey, better that than anything else. So I just love this work. I just love working for Street Cones. I just think it's, real sort of breakthrough moments. But Anthea, can I come to you, since we're looking at the South Lanarkshire Women's Project in particular today, and just if you could just basically wrap it up in a lovely bow for us.
Okay, no pressure, because everybody has said everything.
Yeah.
Just to kind of revisit a little bit, I think having the performance captured there, being able to see it, being able to see the film edited it just reminds you how powerful it was, doesn't it? And just how the kind of issues, really strong issues that were addressed there, and it just looks really good going back and revisiting that and seeing it. And it's been great today to be on the panel, to have the chance to look at some of the issues and hear what people are thinking, and just put it out there a little bit more for people, and I suppose put our own service out there, promote that a little bit. I agree with what Margaret's saying about the going forward. It's more the face-to-face, it's working along with different organisations, and Margaret Halbert, like you're saying, and linking in with all this great work that's going on across the board, and using technology, isn't it? A mixture of both, because it's whatever suits the person who, some people like the face-to-face and that other people like to be on the technology. So it's... we're coming out of lockdown, things are looking really hopeful and looking dead optimistic, and it's exciting, and it's exciting being in this position now to go ahead in the future. So that's all I want to say, and again, another thank you to everybody.
Yeah, so brilliant. It's true. Who knew that the Zoom could have be the silver lining, in the awful pandemic, that we've actually made all these connections and reached out. So yeah, I just love the ability that story gives us to create some sort of distance and be able to look on and comment about, you know, all of us struggling together and helping each other. So it's brilliant. So I would also just like to thank everyone for watching, anyone out there, our audience who have been part of this, and all the fantastic comments and questions as well, which help the debate move along. So if you get a chance to subscribe on YouTube and switch on updates, then please do check out our other projects on the YouTube channel. The links to all social media accounts are on the webpage at streetcones.org. So check all that out for anything that's coming up. Maybe something's coming up in your bit, at your bit. And I would just like to say to everybody who's taking time out today, you know, yowza, Charlotte, beautiful pad you've got there. Charlotte will be away to play Chopin and that lovely grand piano at her back.
I wish.
Lynn, thank you so much for all your great comments. Yeah, you girls really, you know, sort of shining a light on change. It's wonderful.
One last thing, that Street Cones has completely changed my life for the better. So I just want to put that out there, that, you know, don't be afraid. If anyone wants to do this, don't be afraid, because the workers are absolutely amazing and they won't put you at ease. But it did change my life for the better. So that is something that I think is important for people to know.
I'm very happy for you, Charlotte. Very happy for you. And the two Margarets will be glad that I never called either of them Margaret. So Margaret Halbert of Liberate, thank you. And Margaret McMullen, best social worker in town, thank you so much. And Anthea, thank you for, you know, feedback so much about South Lanarkshire and all the great work that you're doing. So folks, that's it. Keep in touch. Let's find out how else we can get on the road to change for all of us. All of us are in recovery, let's face it, every single one of us. So power to our elbows, and thank you, everybody. Thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Bye.
Never want my children to live a life like mine, so I faced my inner demons, one small step at a time, one small step at a time. I was a boy without belonging, a jigsaw piece that didn't fit. If someone shouted out the answer, then you know I didn't hear it, you know I didn't hear it. I'm not the man, I'm not the man I used to be. Gone are the days when all I could see was myself in the mirror, trying to break free, trying to break free. It's taken many years of feeling all alone, so many years of emptiness with no place to call a home, no place to call a home. Now I'm feeling so much stronger as my demons walked away. I think they finally realized they had nothing more to say, nothing more to say. I'm not the man, I'm not the man I used to be. Gone are the days when all I could see was myself in the mirror, trying to break free, trying to break free. So many days have passed now, and my life is still on track. And if them demons try returning, I'll have the strength to send them back. I'll have the strength to send them back. They'll never pull me